Hey guys, welcome back. In this video, we are talking about silver reaching $531 per ounce. As you guys can see today, we've already seen silver surging above $94 per ounce for the first time in history, now up another 31% in 2026. What we are looking at is just how the volume is really kicking in, how essentially the market wants to take silver to a whole new level. We're starting off today, and tomorrow we're going to be seeing, as the stock market opens as well, more volume to be coming in. So we are expecting another massive run coming in tomorrow as well. For the minor stocks, we are going to be looking at some major returns as well. But more importantly is about understanding that silver surges to a new record high over $105 in Shanghai, where even the short positions can't hold the silver bullish momentum. And we have to realize this, just like what we talked about in our last silver video, where we essentially talked about how China right now has been the leading indicator for us understanding where the silver price is going to go. As we can see in China, the demand is increasingly high, allowing the silver price to go up higher, and that is having an effect on the US market as well. We've essentially realized that this 94, we were expecting a green day. We were expecting the silver price to go up because of the market price in China. So as it sees it take a new high in China of 105, we are expecting the silver futures to follow that as well. We are expecting the price to be following this as well. And so with the demand not slowing down whatsoever, but the supply getting lower, we are only going to be expecting the price to go even higher. So one of the things that we are going to definitely be focusing on is the price of silver in China right now. Another thing that I think is very important, and it's a very good sign for the silver pricing, is the stock market futures officially opened for the first time since President Trump announced a 10% tariffs on 8 EU countries demanding an acquisition of Greenland. And what we saw was the S&P 500 down 0.7%, the Nasdaq down 1%, Dow Jones down 0.5%, whereas for gold and silver, we're up 1% and 3% respectively. And actually for silver, we're up even higher than that as of right now. And the reason why this is important is because we've always known that gold, that silver, we've seen these metals act as the hedge for the stock market. So if we're going to continuously seeing the overall market to decline for the stock market futures, we're going to be looking at gold, we're going to be looking at silver to increase in return to that. And so this is still very, very good news. There have been so many factors right now which affects the price of gold, the price of silver, whether it's with these tariffs, whether it's with the investments, wherever it's the price in Shanghai, whether it's the use of gold and silver. All of these things are all extremely bullish for the increase in price of silver. And another big thing is, in case you missed the Saturday holiday news dump, China took away Citadel, Jane Street, and jumped super speed trading edge, essentially taking away their edge in the futures trading. Now, the reason why this is good is because it allows real price movements for futures. It allows real price movements for silver as well. We've already talked about how the paper shorts, the naked shorts have been suppressing the price. And one of the ways they do this, one of the spoofing methods that they use as well, is with these high speed trading advantages. Now, with China banning, their speed trading advantage and knowing how important the Chinese market is, what we are looking at is a fairer market, a cleaner market, but more importantly, a market that isn't going to be suppressed. And right now, the sentiment has, of course, been for silver to be going up, for people to be buying as much silver. So this is also a big reason to why I think we're not yet at the peak of the growth of silver. We're going to be looking at the silver market to be growing even faster than it has been because of everything that's going on. Another big reason, which is talking about why some people say that silver at 94 is overvalued, or that we're going to that overvalued stage. But when you take a look at this, the silver pricing is wrong, not because it's overvalued, but actually because it's cheap relative to the global currency fiat money supply. At 90, everyone knows that silver is at nominal all-time highs, but relative to M2, it's well below a historical peak. So this suggests significant upside potential if the market catches up to full monetary expansion. If silver were to match its 2011 money supply ratio, you're looking at about $97 per ounce, which we're only $3 off as we're at 94. But if you matches the 1980s ratio, it's about $531 per ounce. Now, we've already said there are so many factors right now. The very fact that all these factors have been extremely bullish for silver, the very fact it's a safe haven, the very fact it's a hedge against the overall market, we are going to be looking at silver going up. I definitely don't think we're going to be stopping at 97. We're going to be breaking above 100. Just like what we've talked about with the Chinese market as the leading indicator, we're going to be seeing it breaking 100, and we're very likely going to see it go even higher. And if we're matching the 1980s ratio, we're going to be looking at it at $531 per ounce. And I think that's what everyone is looking for as well. That's the momentum and sentiment that's kicking into this as well. And that's something that we are, of course, expecting. Now, that is something that we're talking about for the long term, where ultimately where I think silver is going to. But if you take a look at the short term, what we can see is that silver is still looking at a major breakout even in the short term, where we could potentially be looking at $130 by February 6th for silver. And we're just looking at a 54.26% increase, which actually is even lower right now. But what we have to realize is how the market is reacting, how quickly this can get. Remember, right now is where the demand have been the highest it has ever been. We are seeing shortages on physical deliveries in China and worldwide currently. We're seeing how people are forcing to canceling orders. So what we understand from that is that the demand is not decreasing. So if we were able to see silver have this massive jump up previously, we are expecting silver to have a similar jump up, but in a shorter time frame, because the demand is there and because so many shorts are getting bankrupted, so many shorts are getting liquidated. And as the price gets higher, we are going to be seeing the big short sellers to really get liquidated. And that's also going to accelerate the process of seeing silver to 130 and of course higher. And you can see silver's perfect storm is no longer theoretical. US proposing a 2.5 billion critical mineral stockpile, silver officially designated a critical mineral, heavy US import dependence, 5 straight years of structural supply deficit, potential for a 1K retirement fund rule changes, price already up 147% in 2025. So this is what we've said. Everything is aligning for silver to be that golden investment, for silver to be going up even higher. We've seen from the technicals, we're seeing at the fundamentals, we've seen from all of these factors for why silver is needed, for why silver is wanted by all investors, and why it's obviously going to reach a new high. If you also want to look at it from another perspective, what we're looking at is the Bitcoin silver ratio has just crashed through long-term support. The great rotation from crypto into silver looks set to accelerate. So what we're seeing right now is just what we said with the Bitcoin to silver ratio. Now, the reason why this is important is because we are looking at the money that was originally in Bitcoin, that was in crypto, now being rotated into another asset to be invested, an asset they deem to not only be a safe haven, because once upon a time, silver was deemed to be the safe bet along with gold, but also it's talking about the ROI, how much return they can get, because at its current price, at this current market, silver has been the best investment for these capital. And so they're rotating all these trillions of dollars from the crypto market into the silver market as well. This is why we've said there are so many factors leading to why we're going to be seeing silver going up even higher. And then if you want to take a look at a different market again, even with silver flirting with historical $100 levels, a key tell is being ignored. Indian ETFs and physical silver are trading at a discount to global spot, not at euphoric premiums. That tells you retail is still cautious, no FOMO, no mania. This isn't a speculative blow off. So what we are seeing from here is that in the Indian market and potentially other areas around the world as well, is that actually what we are looking at is not the FOMO. It's not people all trying to scramble in and get their hands on silver, and then the moment everyone gets it, they sell. But actually, there are still a lot of money sitting on the sideline. There are still people waiting for that confirmation. So what does that tell you? It says that people who are in silver right now are still early in relative to a massive proportion of the investments, of the capital that it's out there. And so that's what we are waiting for. That's what we want. We want to be early. So people who think that we are overvalued, that's one perspective. But another perspective is that actually we are still early when you're considering the fact that there are still money rotating out of different industries into silver. There is still money sitting on the sidelines that are eyeing up silver. This isn't just money sitting on the sidelines to do well. This is people who want to buy into silver, but still unsure. They're waiting for that confirmation. And so ultimately, we are going to be seeing that money flow into silver. And that's why it's important. You can also see banksters are so desperate to find physical silver bars that they are literally raiding the SLV that now has reserves at a decade low despite the run up in price. Something is going to break soon. This is what we said earlier as well, where we are seeing how the demand for silver is increasing, is not slowing down, and we're only going to be looking at that growth getting even bigger. However, the problem is the supply won't be able to fill that demand. For anyone with basic understandings of how supply and demand works, you'll know when the supply can't meet the demand, we are only going to be looking at the price get even higher. And so this is just the indication. This is the data that you need to understand, is demand increasing? Yes. Is the supply meeting the demand? No. And so that's why we are looking at these factors. Another thing, and this is more about gold, but it's still relative to silver, it's still relevant to silver, is that Hong Kong and Shanghai will sign an agreement to build a cross-border gold clearing system, linking the two markets and accelerating Hong Kong's push to become a global gold trading hub. Now, the reason why this is important is because it boosts liquidity. And so far, we're already seeing how gold futures also surges to a record high of $4,660 per ounce. And so this is what we've said with, there are so many factors right now leading to why silver and gold is only going to get higher. Now, gold and silver are, of course, two different markets, but they are very relevant to each other. And if we're going to be seeing money flowing into this, once again, they will realize which one has the better return, and we're going to be seeing the money flowing into those assets. And then, if you want to take a look at it from the technical side of how these silvers are doing, the price action, you can see that at one point it was pinned to $93 for the past 5 hours. They're either trying to fabricate a large dump in London hours or to hold a level till shorts build a buffer till the next level up. Nevertheless, volatility is coming. So we're seeing a lot of accumulation. We're seeing essentially a tug of war between the shorts and longs at this level. Now, what we have to understand is that we have already seen multiple examples of shorts trying to hold a level, but when they fail, the price goes even higher. Now, the very fact we already broke a new all-time high today, we made a new all-time high, should show you that longs are in power, the shorts are failing. You can see it happening again. This is what we talked about with how it's just holding on to these levels. This is just how they're trying not to blow up. But ultimately, we are going to be seeing the margin calls happening against these short sellers, against these silver shorts. And again, it will be the physical silver that will do this, and it will kill or beat all of these paper shorts that we've seen, because you can see COMEX silver deliveries report 41.44 million ounce of silver deliveries, 345 silver deliveries notice issued Friday. So the total January silver deliveries source to 8,288 contracts. Now, this is exactly what we've said at the fact that demand is going up. And then what we're looking at is the silver inventory down to 120 million ounce. At this current rate, the COMEX will hit 0 ounce of silver in less than 3 months. So you can essentially see this as a countdown. If we are really going to be hitting 0 ounce of silver in less than 3 months, you can imagine why the next 3 months will be extremely volatile for the price. And typically, it will be even shorter than that. The very fact that this news is already out, it's only going to create even more demand. So this is what we've said with why I believe silver can easily go up to $130, especially what we just talked about, and why we could see the $531 per ounce for silver as well. And then if you want to look at some outside factors where we're seeing how Bank of Japan needs to hike again as the yield melt up continues, it carries the trade primed for unwind. Another reason for why capital want to invest in some asset other than the stock market. And at its current market, when you're asking, of all of these big things that we're looking at, crypto, stock market, real estate, metals, which one is the safe haven? Which one has the better return? Typically, it will be two different answers. But currently, right now, in today's current situation, in today's current market, metal market is not only the safe haven, but it is also the best returns. And that's what people obviously want to look for. And you can see people's problem. We're seeing 14 trillion in yen denominated CDS swaps at risk of forced unwind. And then, we're also looking at the order minimum to try and prevent things from happening. So many things leading up, and is why I believe silver is going to have an extremely volatile time. And you guys, as always, now this is financial advice, so do take what I say, consult, make sure to do your own due diligence and research, and I'll catch you guys next time.